This boy was practicing javelin throws when he accidentally shattered the window. But just moments later, he picked up where he left off, because his biggest dream was to become an Olympic athlete. Shards of broken glass spilled into the tin boxes. His mother rewarded him with makeshift trophies, while his father, fed up with his antics, dragged him to the construction site to help paint walls. Near that site, a ski slope caught Eddie's eye. That's when his passion for skiing began. Over time, the house filled up with medals and trophies, yet despite his dedication, he still failed to qualify for the Olympics. During the team selections, the national team president told him bluntly,
"You will never be Olympic material."
Disheartened, Eddie went home and packed away his skis. He made up his mind to get a job and support himself instead. But soon, a new thrill reignited his Olympic dream. The next day, Eddie showed up at the Olympic headquarters and signed up for ski jumping, only to find out there wasn't a national ski jumping team. Still, Eddie left the building jumping with excitement. At home, he announced the news to his parents. His dad strongly disapproved, but Eddie remained determined. He arrived at a ski jumping facility, staring in awe at the steep ramp and the athletes performing flawless jumps. Unable to afford accommodation, he spent the night in a bar pantry. The next morning, the bar's proprietress found him. She let him stay on the condition that he helped out at the bar. Eagerly, Eddie stepped onto the 15-meter platform and glided down without trouble. That wasn't so hard, he thought. Brimming with confidence, he climbed the steeper 40-meter platform. This time, he crashed hard. But even after multiple falls, Eddie refused to give up. His persistence defined resilience, until one day, he collided with a man on the track and got him kicked off. From the bar owner, Eddie learned that the man was named Allan, a former ski jumping prodigy whose career was derailed by alcoholism. Eddie approached Allan, hoping to be trained, but Allan rejected him coldly. Still undeterred, Eddie cheerfully greeted him on the field and took his advice to study another athlete's technique. "That guy's ranked second in the world," Allan said. But even that athlete ended up face-planting. Eddie watched as he crashed spectacularly and was stretchered off the snow. Allan casually explained some tips, half jokingly, half seriously, while drunk, including the risks of each jump. A failed 70-meter jump might be survivable, but a 90-meter one could be fatal if done wrong. But if done right, it could bring glory. Eventually, Allan climbed up the 90-meter platform himself. With grace and power, he soared through the air, carved a perfect arc, and landed cleanly. Watching him inspired Eddie. Under Allan's guidance, Eddie finally nailed the 40-meter jump. Energized, he set his sights on the 70-meter jump. As he stood on the towering platform, nerves set in. He asked someone behind him to give him a push, but lost his balance and tumbled down on his own. The fall was brutal. He slammed into the snow and rolled all the way to the bottom, eventually being carried off on a stretcher again, this time with a sense of honor. Miraculously, Eddie managed to sneak out of the hospital. Allan, moved by his spirit and perseverance, agreed to train him properly before the tournament the following month. This news thrilled Eddie. As soon as he was discharged, he rushed to find Allan and began intensive training. Soon, the tournament began. All Eddie needed was a clean jump to qualify. And he did it. He landed a 34-meter jump. But then, the rules suddenly changed. The national committee increased the minimum distance to 61 meters, disqualifying Eddie. The truth was, they simply didn't want to invest resources in someone like him. Refusing to give up, Eddie called Allan for help. He was ready to tour Europe. Quietly, while his father was still asleep, he borrowed the car and drove off. He reunited with Allan, and the two began formal training. Through relentless effort, Eddie kept beating his own records until, finally, he reached the 61-meter mark in a qualifying event. Now, if he could beat that score in the upcoming test, he'd secure his Olympic dream. But then, tragedy struck. Overwhelmed with excitement, Eddie lost control during landing and crashed. Allan watched helplessly. Eddie pleaded with the event officials to let him jump again, but they denied his request. He called home and told his parents he was quitting skiing for good. Just when all hope seemed lost, Eddie received a letter. His test result was official and valid. Elated, he ran to Allan to share the news, already packing for the Olympics. But Allan was blunt. "If you go now, you'll only prove you're the worst jumper out there. Give me 4 years, I'll train you right." But Eddie was determined. He and Allan argued, and Eddie drove off. He was headed to the Winter Olympics. There, he faced resistance from his own team. He watched other athletes soar, one even landed a 114-meter jump. His heart burned with admiration. Finally, it was Eddie's turn. He landed a 60.5-meter jump, setting a new British record. The crowd erupted. It was his moment of glory. The media swarmed him, not because he won, but because he inspired. Despite his low score, he basked in the applause, smiling with joy. Later, he called Allan to explain his choice. But Allan hit him with a hard truth: the second that Olympic music starts playing again, you'll be forgotten. Eddie quietly hung up and returned to the arena to watch others effortlessly clear the 90-meter platform. In a bold move, he called a reporter and publicly acknowledged his shortcomings, and his love for ski jumping. Determined to prove himself, Eddie signed up to attempt the 90-meter jump. Allan, watching on TV, was stunned. He rushed to support Eddie. Meanwhile, Eddie met the reigning world champion. "I won the gold," the champion said, "but I didn't give it my all. If I had, I'd have been happier, even if I came in last." Eddie sat on the towering platform, reflecting on all the ridicule and doubt he'd faced. A staff member nudged him from his thoughts. He took off. The track was steeper, faster, and far more dangerous. He struggled to keep his balance, fighting the wind, the fear, and the odds. His jump wasn't perfect, his back nearly touched the snow, but he landed. The score was real. He broke another British record. And his journey wasn't over. This story is based on true events. The Olympics aren't just about victory or defeat, they're about showing up, standing tall, and daring to try. That's the real meaning of life. Not just to win, but to participate. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to subscribe, like, share with friends, and leave a comment. Your support helps the channel grow.